Well, good morning, everybody. It's me, Mitch. Today is a momentous day for me. It is my 18-month anniversary living this carnivore lifestyle. And I'm going to tell you about the last 18 months while I cook my breakfast. No surprise here, bacon and eggs. I started this way of life. And even though I call it a carnivore diet, it's not a diet as we think about it. Most of us think about a diet as something that we're going to do for a while until we reach a certain goal. And then once we've reached that goal, we'll be able to go back to eating all the stuff that we enjoyed before, and we'd be off the diet. And by some miracle of miracles, we would expect to be able to maintain the loss that we did on that diet. Now, for all of us that have had a lifetime of this dieting, we know that doesn't work. We've yo-yoed and yo-yoed and yo-yoed. And me, I've fallen prey to that, but I've tried to maintain a healthy lifestyle my whole life, which means I was constantly on a diet. I never let it get really out of hand. I never got obese, but I did kind of oscillate between 150 and 200 pounds, probably 10 or 15 times during my life. And there were a lot of health benefits. I suppose I stayed healthier because I didn't allow it to get way out of hand. But all that up and down couldn't have been that good for me. I started low carb as a way of life back in 1973 or thereabouts, when Robert Atkins wrote his first book. And I did well on it, but I never really took care of my carbohydrate addiction. So I would be successful in these diets. I'd get down to my 155 pound weight. I'd say, hallelujah, I'd reward myself. Let's have a little treat to reward myself, and you know what happens then. Off the diet, cravings start kicking in. You start binging. A few months later, 50 pounds is back. You do damage to yourself eating all that sugar, and that couldn't have been good for my health. But fortunately, I'd look in the mirror when I got around that 200 pounds, and I would just get so disgusted with myself that I would say, gotta go back on that diet again, because I just don't like what's happened to me. If you identify with this, then you're probably in the normal of what the average, supposedly health-conscious person with carb addiction, has gone through their entire life. Like most of us, when YouTube became popular, I would start watching diets. I would start watching YouTube channels about healthy living, and seems like every other day I was changing something that I was doing. I would take this supplement or try that diet or whatever. But same story over and over. And then keto came along. That was a number of years ago. And I said, well, that makes sense. I'll start really counting these carbs, but I can still have my carbs, and as long as I just ration them out. Now, liking my treats, still being addicted to sugar, I went the route of trying to make low-carb versions of everything I liked, and that would sabotage my diet too. Then carnivore started to become more popular on YouTube. And I finally said, maybe that has some merit. I'm going to give it a shot. And in August, the beginning of August 2022, I decided to do a 30-day trial to see, even though it sounded unachievable and undoable for me, because after all, how could I live the rest of my life without all the pleasure that I would derive from even the few carbohydrates that I was eating? Because for me, when I figured my carb allotment, I didn't figure on broccoli and Brussels sprouts. I figured on blueberries and things that were sweet. I figured it would work because I was still limiting my carbs, and it did. I lost weight, but the cravings always kicked back in, always sabotaged me. So 18 months ago, I decided I'm going to give this carnivore thing a try. And I did it with a vengeance. The first thing I did was I cleaned out everything that was in my house that had a carbohydrate in it. I just gave it away and threw it away. I went out shopping and I bought a couple weeks supply. I spent a lot of money buying all kinds of ground beef and steaks and fish and all the things that were appropriate to start a carnivore diet. And I started it. And the first month, it took a lot of getting used to. It took figuring out how to make it work for myself. And I have videos about my rules for the first 30 days. And these are things that I had decided I had to do in order to make it work. And I did it. I did it. I just kept eating. I didn't step on the scale. I concentrated only on not being hungry. I kept food ready to eat all the time so that when I got hungry, I just started eating food until I wasn't hungry anymore. But that food was the right food. And it worked. And at the end of 30 days, and in only 30 days, the results that I had astounded me. They astounded me. My cravings were like 90% gone. I did step on the scale, and even though I had been eating an enormous amount of food, I still lost about 5 pounds in that first month, and I couldn't believe that. I also noticed that some of my medical problems were starting to resolve. My blood pressure was down. The joint pain and rheumatoid arthritis that was plaguing me with attacks now and then were really, really reduced. It was incredible. I looked better. I felt better. I slept better. But the biggest thing I noticed was that I was no longer plagued by the thoughts of food and the thoughts of eating. I didn't feel deprived. And of all the dieting that I had done in the previous 50 plus years, that was something new. And I said, wow, this is new territory. I've never been here before. So the decision to continue this was a no-brainer. And I kept doing it. I didn't set any goals. I didn't set, I'm going to do it for 30 days, another 60 days or 90 days. I just, at that point, after the first month, said, I could live like this. This, in my mind, is no longer going to be thought of as a diet. Because when you think of something as a diet, it has to have an end date in your mind. I'm going to do this until something else happens. And that is usually until my weight gets to a certain point. Well, I didn't do that. I don't know if I didn't do that consciously. I was just satisfied with this. I didn't promise myself that I could live like this forever, because we can't make forever promises. We have no idea what's going to happen in the future. But almost by accident, I just adopted this as a lifestyle and stopped thinking about it as a diet, even though in a lot of my videos I call it the carnivore diet, because that's how it's known. That's how it's referred to. That was the title of Shawn Baker's book. And here I am 18 months later. And in those 18 months, I have not eaten a single gram of carbohydrate. I've eaten some carbs because everything has some carbs. Even meat has some carbs. But I never ate a plant, a leaf of lettuce. I never wanted, this is the amazing thing, I never wanted to eat a single plant or a piece of lettuce. I never missed any of that stuff. And in a few short months after the beginning, my cravings not only went away 90%, that stuff that I couldn't live without never entered my mind again. And in 18 months, I have not even thought about that, which to me is a miracle. I understand why, and I've talked about it in 150 videos. Excuse me while I beat my eggs. Thank you. Little Redmond's real salt in the eggs, and we'll get them cooking. It really doesn't take too long to make a breakfast like this. I've got it down to a real routine by now. When I look back at the changes over the 18 months, my weight has settled in at a range of 138 to 140 pounds. And it's been that way for over a year now. Virtually all of any medical problems I have completely resolved themselves. Skin condition, high blood pressure, rheumatoid arthritis, gone completely. Started working out. I put on muscle. I went from struggling to do 2 push-ups to be able to do 4 sets of 25 push-ups. I enjoy exercising. I'm in the best shape of my life. My entire physiology has changed. My mental attitude has changed. My sharpness, my ability to think things out has changed dramatically. And my mood is elevated, I think, more than at any point in my life. I'm actually excited just to live, just to be alive. And at my age, and I'll be 77 years old in a few months, I've never felt younger, more alive, sharper, and more motivated. And that is a miracle, but an easily explainable one. It's because for the first time in my life, not only am I giving my body virtually every bit of nutrition that it needs, but I've stopped poisoning myself with all of those grains, seed oils, and sugar that have become 90% of what I don't even want to say Americans, because this is global at this point, what the world eats. I've watched many other people that have done this lifestyle like I'm doing. And if they've done it right, meaning not sloppy carnivore, but stayed true to the fundamentals of it, the results that I've had, I could say, are pretty universal. The best decision I ever made in my life. I don't have a single doubt that this is absolutely sustainable, and that for the rest of my life, I will not cheat, have a cheat day, be tempted to do anything other than this. That would just be plain, downright stupid. And I don't think I'm stupid. So, this is what I crave, if you can call it a craving. I would rather eat this than virtually anything else right now. Later today, I'll have a steak, maybe a ribeye, or a 1.5 pounds of ground beef. And once a week, I'll have some fish or chicken. That's it. So I'm going to eat this breakfast right now. And you take the rest of the day off and eat meat.